welcome to another episode of HERcast with Dr. Chito, Women Shaping the Future of Leadership. Today we are thrilled to have a special guest, Mrs. Adaze Aguele-Kalu. Ms. Adaze Aguele-Kalu, FCCA, FCA, MBA, is the Honorable Commissioner for Finance in Edo State, with over 24 years of international leadership experience in the private and public sectors. Previously, she served as the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning in Edo State and as CEO of Greenbridge Advisory, a firm focused on sustainable development goals and climate finance. A two-time presidential appointee, she was executive director at the Federal Housing Authority, addressing Nigeria's housing gap, and later at the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, overseeing assets of the defunct PHCN. She has also held senior roles at BGL PLC and FMDQ Holdings PLC, focusing on capital markets, debt finance, and climate-aligned finance for renewable energy and infrastructure. Adaze is a fellow chartered accountant and an active member of several professional bodies, including the Nigerian Advisory Committee for ACA, the ACA Global Public Sector Committee, the Nigerian Institute of Management, and the Institute of Directors. She's an MBA ambassador at the renowned Imperial College London Business School. Her expertise covers capital markets, debt finance, stakeholder management, asset management, policy evaluation, government relations, and business development. She is passionate about female inclusion in finance, economic development, infrastructure, renewable energy, and real estate development. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about important ideas for women in leadership. Adaze will share her thoughts on topics like diversity, equity, and inclusion, the benefits of remote work and flexibility, and the need for more support for women entrepreneurs. We'll also discuss the importance of mental health, highlighting female role models, and developing inclusive leadership programs. Adaze will tell us about her role as Commissioner of Finance and how she balances her work with advocating for men's empowerment. We'll learn about the importance of allyship, global perspectives, and advancing women in politics. Join us for an inspiring conversation, really good conversation with Adaze. This episode is packed with valuable insights and experiences that you won't want to miss. Now, if you're new here, HERcast is a podcast and TV show dedicated to lending women a voice, empowering them with knowledge, and building a support network that encourages boldness in following their dreams. We believe that gender equity will transform the world, and we are thrilled to continue this journey with you. So now let's dive in. Welcome, Adaze.
Thank you.
I think reading this, I wanted to read this. It was very important to me because I wanted people to see how you carry all these roles with so much humility. Your passion shines through. So having you on the show for me is, I know it's going to be inspirational, and I'm so excited.
Thank you.
I know, and I'm going to just dive in, like I said, into our first question. So I think I'm going to start with how do you see diversity, equity, and inclusion shaping the future of women in leadership roles? How do you see that?
Well, first of all, Dr. Chito, thank you for having me on the show. I think that the show is one that is really making a lot of impact and giving women a lot of opportunity to have a voice and to be heard. So it's a fantastic initiative. I'm thrilled to be here today, and thank you for having me. Now, that was a very interesting question because this would be from my perspective. Okay, so let's call it DE&I. So diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's such a critical part of leadership and women development because this speaks to addressing cultural issues that has transcended generations and across different parts of the world. This deals with having to hire employees from different backgrounds, different identities, different languages, and giving them equity and enabling environment for them to thrive and for them to grow and for them to actually, prove themselves. And then inclusion will speak to collaboration and teamwork and making people feel like part of a team or part of a project or part of a goal or a vision. And so it's ever so critical because strategy eats, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And this drives organizational strategy. This drives success, globally. So for us as women, I think it's important to sort of ride on the on the wave of this new initiative that is really driving women growth, women development, economic growth, economic development, and sustainable development. And it aligns very much with SDG 5, which is part of the Sustainable Development Goals. And it aligns with economic growth generally for women and our ecosystem. So for me, from my perspective, I think this is a welcome development in our career. I think it's an essential development in female growth.
Yes.
I think it's an essential development for our own career and even for any economy, any nation, any country. Women are good managers of money. So if you speak to finance, I've always been an advocate for women in finance.
Yes.
So women are good advocates women are good ambassadors in managing money. Women are good with the soft skills in terms of people management in human resources, for example. Women are being attracted into STEM. So you want women in technology, women in mathematics, women in engineering now. And so we're encouraging all of that. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is taking women from wherever people thought they should be to the best, to the zenith of their potential.
Yes.
And for me, it's a welcome development, and I'm a big advocate for it.
This is great. And you said something about strategy. What strategies have you observed or implemented to break down traditional boundaries that hinder women progress in leadership positions?
So for me, the strategies that I've had to implement, and this is by virtue of the fact that, let's talk about what the challenges are that actually hinder women development. So you have unequal pay.
Yes.
I can put my hands up to that. Unequal pay, I've experienced that. We have inequality in terms of discrimination by a policy.
Yes.
We've had unfair treatment at work. We've had violence at work. We've had sexual harassment at work. So to mitigate these strategies, one of the things I've done, for example, to even give women an opportunity, is to make sure that I'm a supporter, and I categorically state I would want a female person in this role. So I'm very intentional with my hiring. That's one way that I've been able to support women and get women into positions of authority. When I go on LinkedIn, and even men will say this is a gender bias to them, but it's because of the inequality and the lack of women in leadership that has made, some of us take that decision to give women an opportunity for them to thrive. So one of the strategies are to intentionally hire women, then begin to look at policy reviews. So when you have policies and organizations that say, preferably a man in this role, preferably a man in that role, you have to create policies or review those policies to give women an enabling environment to actually apply for those jobs. Equal pay, you can see across the world that people have been advocating and petitions have been written to get equal pay with men. You see executive directors earning, far less than women.
Yes.
So I'll tell you where
doing the same work.
Yeah, but doing the same work. So I was appointed as an executive director in the power holding sector. And 2 years afterwards, somebody hinted me that I was earning the salary of a general manager. And I had to write to the minister to say, I've just found out, because you don't go around asking people, can I see your payslip? Right? Yes. You're an ED. You don't go around saying, can I see your payslip? Can I know what you earn? You don't do that. So what you do is, just take your payslip and you file it. And then someone hinted me and say, you actually are earning what your subordinates are earning. And you can imagine how I felt.
Wow, doing that much.
Yeah. So the benefits that were due me in that agency weren't given to me. They were giving me benefits of a lower-catered staff. Wow. And so you have to fight for these kind of opportunities and put paper, pen to paper, and actually advocate and fight for your own right. So one way that I've been able to implement that is making sure that women are given the enabling environment to get opportunity to employment. Women are upskilled in the sense that if you have a woman in a position of authority and there's training that is needed, you give them that training. If women are not good in a certain aspect like Excel or Word or PowerPoint, send them for training. So capacity development is also very critical. So it's not just about hiring, but if you have women in that system, you upskill them and reskill them to ensure that they're able to perform best in their different roles.
one of the things that I'm gonna, based on what you just said, when you talk about, when you want to argue, make the argument of equal pay or getting certain roles, they talk about your productive status, which is so annoying, because I mean, the reproductive status is what keeps the world going, right? Keeps the world turning. And I remember when I was on a committee on women's healthcare leadership, there was a lot of talk about, ways to adapt the working environment or your business to be able to accommodate for that balance that we all go through. Because I mean, there are many women who are powerful and intelligent, and doesn't make you not being wanting to be a mother as well. What's And I think COVID taught us something, right? COVID taught us that about remote work and flexibility. So with the rise of remote work and flexibility, how can women leverage these opportunities to advance in their leadership journeys? Like because this has always been one of the things that why the women get less paid, because they have more likely to take more time off, if they're mothers or if they're caregivers, and it's been such an argument, which has been, I think, one of my most annoying things to hear, because women still end up sometimes doing the best work, more work, and achieving more goals for the organization. So now we have something else, remote work, which men and women are doing. How do we leverage this opportunity to be able to do more in our fields? And what do you think about this idea of being reproductive?
I think technology is here to stay, so as we all know, and I think the remote work is, during COVID and post-COVID, is something that is answered prayers for women. It's an answered prayer. I'll say it's an answered prayer because, I mean, there's no way anybody would have said, I want to work from home for like 6 months. They would really frown at it prior to COVID. And so that really catalyzed the opportunity and the adoption and use of technology and having to work from home. It really catalyzed that. And so for me, I think women should, and what we have done, what women have done from COVID, is actually leverage that where you can work and have opportunities to actually do a business on the side and have multiple streams of income. It's also an opportunity where you can use technology to also get some training.
True.
So you can work 9 to 5 and deliver efficiently and effectively.
Yes.
And then you can start another kind of online work or online job that can pay you in dollars, in pounds, in naira if you wish. And you can use a marketplace like Instagram, TikTok to create content, marketplace to sell products that it has opened up different avenues and opportunities for women to be able to have multiple streams of income for me. And also a plethora of avenues of ideas or learning initiatives for them to upskill themselves. You can actually learn while you're at home, manage the home, have another baby if you wish, and try and see how you can also balance the home. I think being in the office physically, if you work in a place like Lagos, just give yourself 2 hours in traffic and 2 hours back.
Yes.
So by the time you get home, you are completely fagged out, you are tired, and you have no energy to give back to your family. You just go straight to bed. You're just exhausted.
Yes.
And so what this has done is for you to have the presence in the home. It's really saved a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships, and giving the children at least that will just come back home from school or even remote schooling, and you can see mom at home. And for us, I think is a fantastic opportunity that it has actually given to women. Yes. And then for you to actually have an exponential growth in your leadership. It would be shocking to see or to hear that women have not leveraged technology.
Yeah.
There's so much awareness out there for it. There's so much talk around it, too many sessions discussing technology and AI and ChatGPT and how to even create content or how to even create a business online. And so for me, I think it's a win-win for us, and it's a very welcome development since post-COVID.
I'm telling you, yes, it does really help. Now, this is something we just chatted before we started. When women are put in a place of leadership, like the lady boss, they want to call you, it's not that easy to lead both men and women, right? You're put in leadership, you have to make certain decisions, you have to navigate certain emotions and feelings, and you have to have a style of leadership that works to do this. What's your style of leadership, and how has been your experience in all these leadership roles as a woman, And what have been your challenges and what have been your experiences that you want to share that could help somebody else? Because most women lay back sometimes. They look at the top and they feel, I don't even think I could do this because they see all the mountains, right? But women are doing it and women can do it. And so what would you say to them with your experiences in all these roads and how you were able to overcome these mountains to be all these things you've been and what you are now, especially too?
Firstly, I think you learn on the job.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you need to accept when you go into any role. You learn the culture of the organization. You learn about the people you're working with. So you learn how to navigate while you're in the job. But I'll say, so there's no set leadership style for any role that I've ever done. But I have critical characteristics that are my authentic characteristics that if you speak to any colleague of mine, they'll say critical things about me. Oh, she's kind-hearted. She has empathy. She's quite strong. She doesn't play with her goals. Deliver on whatever she gives you. If you have to work, long hours to get it done, get the job done. So they're critical things that you hear that are consistent across the 24 years I've worked. But leadership is something that you have to continue to learn, because even if you have embedded skills that are inherent, and are the inherent with you as a person, you have to learn how to manage different types of people in different types of roles. So the capital market or the private sector, I didn't have issues with unequal pay there. I didn't have issues with giving an opportunity to thrive there, because it's investment banking. If you bring in a transaction, investment banking, you're as good as your last transaction. So if you're bringing in good mandates and great mandates and you're working hard, which we have long hours, you'll be given equal opportunity, equal promotion. Then I got appointed by the president to come to the public sector to be a change agent and obviously a transformation agent, a transformationary leader. And there I was baptized by fire, because you live by the public sector rules. The public sector are guided by their rules, which is the public sector rules. You have cadres. You do not breach protocol. So all of those things are what we don't have in the private sector, right?
Yeah.
In the private sector, you call people by name.
Yes.
Hello, Matthew. Hello, James.
Yes.
In the public sector, they'll call me Madame, ED. They won't call me by my name. And so that's a change. Change in how you look and how you dress. So you have to adapt to those cultural changes. I think the reason why I'm sharing that is you can't go into the public sector and wear a miniskirt to work as an executive director, especially if it's in Abuja where there's a cultural issue with how you look.
True.
In the capital market, if you wore a short skirt, nobody would. You're not out of culture if you do that. So you have to learn the culture, and then you have to, if you have situations where you have very heady subordinates, and I'll say men. So I'm not gonna I'll just say when you have male subordinates. I would say Mr. This or Mr. That, or I'll call them by their titles, GM or DGM. And that really helps. And you show respect, even if you're their boss. You speak with respect. In diplomacy, you work with diplomacy. Because first of all, you have a goal, a mandate, and you want to work with the people that you met there to get that goal achieved. So you're not going to come into that kind of role and use a stick. You're going to, first of all, put one foot down first before you put the other. And the first few months will be for you to understand the culture, the administrative schedule, and then you start looking at, okay, how do I achieve the mandate that's been given me? And so I'm a transformational leader. I'm also very diplomatic, and at times, I would have to go hard on the job, because if you're seeing that people are not doing what you want, you may have to give 1 or 2 queries. And that's considered hard. Given a query in public sector, nobody wants a query, in their file and all of that. So they take that very seriously. A correction, a warning, that's me going hard, not anything else other than that. And so for different roles, I've had to apply different strategies and different leadership skills. But one thing that's consistent is the fact that your soft skills speaks for you, your authenticity speaks for you, your experience speaks for you. And I just say that women are fantastic multitaskers.
Oh, yes.
And
I agree, 100%.
People say to me,
100%.
if you get Adaze on the job, trust me, she gets things done.
Yes.
We don't know how she does it, but she gets things done. And then they say things like, "Oh, she's a problem solver."
Yes.
And so when they're stuck and they can't resolve things within themselves, they then bring things, work or tasks that they can't resolve within themselves to you to problem solve. And so that's how you add value. So in that leadership, you're not in front and covering. I lead by team spirit. I lead by collaboration. I lead by working with my permanent secretaries and my directors. So that's how I have that joy in including everyone, in a project or on a goal, and carrying people along. So I don't work in silos at all.
I think you've highlighted so many good points. I'm going to go back and watch this again myself because, sometimes when you listen to this and you are a woman in leadership, you want to listen and imbibe. That's why it was a women supporting women. This is what we're doing here, and it's really, 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 really important. Could you share your insights on the importance of entrepreneurial support for women aspiring to leadership roles, or maybe not say entrepreneurial, any kind of support? So many women are in every organization some women want to climb that ladder. And you talked about what you do in your space, but there are still a lot of spaces that don't give that kind of room or environment to allow women to climb up to that point. So what would be your insight? What's your insight of how we can do this? How can we, on the importance of allowing this and that kind of environment? My son said something in one of the interviews I included him in, because I'm training him to be a man to support women agenda. And he said about the fact that he feels that women have the most innovative ideas, that we come up with really innovative ideas, and excluding women from the table, right, can lead to us not really getting the best results. So how we convince, other organizations that this is really important in every sector, that women should be given space on the table? And I remember, I think, was it Meghan Markle that said something about, and if you don't have a space on the table, make another table.
Make another table, create another table.
Create another table. Yeah. So what's your insight into this?
So first of all, let's go to the entrepreneurial side of it. Okay. I think that all your audience may want to hear
the entrepreneurial support. Yes, definitely.
I've had a 9-to-5 job, and at the same time, I had a business in Lagos. I had a smoothie business in Lagos, and I had that business for about 9 years. And I couldn't continue the commute, so I had to close the business down. It was a Silverbird in Victoria Island. I had a smoothie business called Smoothie Delights, and managing that in a 9-to-5 was quite difficult. But can I just say that there's nothing more than having support from your friends, family, and your inner circle, first and foremost.
Yes.
Because if you have an idea, selling that idea to your next of kin, and being able to convince them that that idea works is your starting point.
True.
Then your partner, then your kids. So it's like making cupcakes, for example, or lemonade.
Okay.
When you make lemonade for kids, and the kids make the lemonade and start selling the lemonades in front of their houses, you're building entrepreneurial skills.
Right there. We don't do much of that here, but
we don't do much of that
now
here.
You said that, I think I'm going to start doing it.
We should actually, with our kids, we should start doing that. Lemonade day.
Yeah, lemonade day.
We actually should actually.
Yes.
So that's us building entrepreneurial skills. And as a mother, you're teaching a daughter how to start making, little pennies, from the sale of lemonade, or from a bake sale or something like that. Likewise, when you encourage children, for example, to play Monopoly, you're also teaching them about assets and cash and capital. Yeah. So I think for women, having a support system whereby, for example, if you are on Instagram and you have a business, give other female businesses the opportunity to advertise on your platform. Assume you were a TV show, like a TV show, you would say, okay, 2 minutes to this woman in fashion, 1 minute to that person in this. And so you've created an avenue There's a company called
Oh, that's a good idea.
41 Lux Mall. 41 Lux Mall encourages female designers to put their stock in her store for a little bit of a fee. That's an avenue to support
Wow.
other women in the fashion industry. 41 Lux Mall is in Abuja, Lagos, and everywhere. She's not probably designing, but she has a store that has this female designer here, that female designer there, and they showcase their stock in her store, and then they do a profit share.
Wow.
So given the support that women need is, if you are already a leader, then you need to give an avenue for other women to grow, develop, get capacity building, get mentorship, have access to people that are been there, done that, won the t-shirt, and are able to support you through it. Ibukuna Wosika does this in her own avenue, her own platforms. Women in Business does it. For us, Society of Women Accountants do it. The ACCA women do it. And so we have so many professional bodies that have a women angle to it, where they're able to have a support system, a mentorship system, a growth system, and all of that. So that support system is important first and foremost, because like your son said, women are very creative.
Very.
They have lots of ideas. If they believe in something, they see it through. And they don't, like a baby, they don't ever want to let a business, fail.
Yes.
So they're very passionate about whatever they do, but then they don't have equal opportunity to scale. So scalability is also very critical. How to scale is very critical. So access to finance is something that women have had a lot of challenges with because of gender bias. And it may not be out there, like it's not that visible, but there is gender bias.
There is.
If a male person goes to the Dragon, well, let's use the Dragon Den, but for example, the Dragon Den kind of
that Dragon Den. When I watch it, I'm like, these were bold.
Yes, the male people are the more bullish and everything. You see women, they say, oh, well, we don't think you have 4 children, or we don't think you have the time to go into the management. And already gender bias has already made the woman, already not given that opportunity to actually present herself properly. And a lack of confidence. I've had a woman who said she was going for an interview. She has 4 kids just because of, the growth in the wrong places, and she's now a lot more rounder. She can't fit into a skirt and all of that, and didn't want to turn up for the interview.
Wow.
Because the image of what happens in some certain companies is slim, trim, not everyone that was a certain size, and that was a confidence issue. So that's also an issue where women don't go forward because they just feel, oh, I won't be accepted. Oh, they won't take me. Oh, they won't accept me in that business or in that role. Now, if you're in the industry sector, manufacturing sector, a sector which needs critical infrastructure, if a woman says, I want a 200 by 200 piece of parcel of land from the FCT or anywhere, I can guarantee you they'll give that to a man first before they'll give it to a woman.
Yes.
And that's gender bias.
Definitely.
I'm sure people that want to build hospitals and schools have experienced challenges like this. And so one thing we need to continue to do is continue to fight for our cause and fight to be on the table.
That's what I'm saying, to make policies.
And not just, and to create policies that are female friendly.
Yes.
They will say, in this administration or in this organization, we must have gender balance. Or we must have 4 female employees. It's like a policy. You must have 4 female directors and then 8 male directors.
Definitely.
Without those policies, you won't be given that opportunity in that avenue. So on entrepreneurship, we've touched that. We've touched where other female leaders should give other, upcoming entrepreneurs opportunity. There's something called angel financing. We can go into that maybe in the finance session if you have that.
Yeah, maybe because we're about to wrap up this one. So we'll dive, in fact, we'll start from there and then as we continue the conversation.
Okay.
Hi guys, as we wrap up the first part of our enlightening conversation with Adaze Aguele-Kalu, the Honorable Commissioner of Finance for Edo State, we hope you've gained valuable insights into the evolving landscape of women in leadership. We've touched on key topics such as diversity, equity, and inclusion, the rise of remote work, and the importance of supporting women entrepreneurs. But our journey doesn't end here. Join us next week as we continue this inspiring discussion with Adaze. We'll dive deeper into mental health, well-being initiatives, the power of inclusive leadership development programs, and the essential role of allyship and advocacy. Adaze will also share more about her efforts to advance women in politics and her global perspective on leadership. Thank you for tuning in to HERcast with Dr. Chito, a podcast and TV show dedicated to lending women a voice, empowering them with knowledge, and creating a support network that encourages boldness and the pursuit of dreams. HERcast is more than a show, guys. It's a movement rooted in the belief that gender equity will transform the world. See you next week for more inspiring content. Remember to follow us on Instagram at HERcast Podcast and at Dr. Chito N. Watch all these episodes on our YouTube, HERcast with Dr. Chito, and also watch it on Star Times on Saturday, 7 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m. And that's channel 176 Rapid TV. Thank you.